that's what it was like back then when you have an absolute legend take over a few years after he last coached, and then he goes 0-11. But that's why you give coaches time to turn it around, and we'll see what happens in baseball. Obviously, it's two different
Yeah.
situations, but Lou Holtz definitely did in football, and he will definitely go down as one of the Gamecock legends for sure.
We'll play some clips from Lou Holtz a little bit later on in the hour. Eric Kimry going to join us at 10:15 and share his memories and experiences with Lou Holtz playing here at South Carolina. And again, if you have any thoughts or anything you want to share about Lou Holtz, hit us up at 803-404-6100. We will get into Gamecock baseball coming up next as they pick up the victory over Charleston Southern last night. And we got news of a player that's been lost for the season due to injury as well. We'll get to that coming up next. It is the Extra Point live at Griffin Pools and Spas here in Lexington. Go until noon on the game.
If you're a small business owner, a church, or other entity in need of a new HVAC system, AAA Heating and Air has exciting news for you. AAA Heating and Air now offers financing to qualified organizations to aid them in installing a new light commercial HVAC system. It's as easy as calling AAA Heating and Air for a quote or finding them online at callAAAtoday.com. Tell them Jack from 107.5 The Game sent you on over. At AAA Heating and Air, they've got your back. They're offering up to 12-month payment plans on repairs with no credit check required. That's right. No need to worry about your credit score. As long as you're a homeowner with a valid bank account, you're going to be good to go. Take control of your comfort today by giving a call to AAA Heating and Air at 803-677-1500. Again, the number to call AAA Heating and Air is going to be 803-677-1500. Give them a call today and breathe easy again.
All right, welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head, Jack Beltry, live at Griffin Pools and Spas in Lexington, hanging out today from 9 to noon. The sun's out. It's glistening over these beautiful pools that we have
Yes.
around us. Jack might be tempted to jump in later if it gets warm enough. It's going to be like about 80 degrees today, so almost exactly perfect time if you were going to be jumping into pool sometime here soon.
Look, I mean, the pool at my apartment complex it's not filled right now,
No,
so might need to wish there was a hot tub out. I mean,
the hot tubs are inside.
oh
Yeah,
man, the hot tubs are inside. That's awesome. So yeah, but
yeah.
this place is. I love the palm trees here. This place gives me very much summer, early spring break vibes.
Yeah, and weather's starting to turn. I think we got a couple cold days still left coming up, but
We're hitting a streak here of like I think the next week it's going to be all 70s and 80s.
yeah, it's going to be a beautiful day on Saturday for the doubleheader for
Yeah.
baseball. So looking forward to that. And yeah, it's going to be a nice weather here for the next couple weeks as we officially turn our way into the springtime. And as the spring rolls along, we're of course keeping up with this baseball team. And last night, their second straight midweek game, they pick up the win over Charleston Southern, 4-1 victory. Wasn't the most dominant win. That is a good Charleston Southern team, as we talked going into the matchup last night. They only had the one loss to UNC Wilmington on the season so far. Maneri did say after the game, a lot of the guys, maybe a bug or something going around the team. So you got guys a little bit sick. Craddock was obviously out the other night with some illness there. So could have contributed to why it wasn't the prettiest game, but they won at the end of the day, and that's the most important thing.
Is the flu still going around? Like,
Maybe.
yeah, I don't know, to be honest, because I think it is a little weird that they have some sort of bug going around, but because I feel like they were saying that at the beginning of the season, and here we are a month later. So I don't know, but yeah, they didn't play great last night. But I'll tell you what, pitching staff really looked good last night, and you deployed some of your better arms to throw in that game. Connor Ciccoli gets the start. He works into the fifth inning. Maneri did want him to get through five, but due to a little bit of bad luck involved, Charleston Southern loaded the bases with no one out, and then he gets the first out on a line drive, and then after that turns the ball over to Brandon Stone, who immediately gets out of the jam and holds the lead for South Carolina. End up giving up a run that went unearned, but he was really good. 3 strikeouts, a walk, and then after that, Alex Valentin comes in and he's been awesome this year. I mean, the guy through his first 6 appearances at South Carolina has not allowed a run. He's been great so far. He's off to a fantastic start this season, and I think, at the beginning of the year, I think we probably all thought, okay, Josh Gregoire is going to be the closer for South Carolina. Alex Valentin's definitely become that guy moving forward.
I always like to, in the first couple weeks of the season, pick out who my favorite player is going to be. It's Alex Valentin. He reminds me a lot of Garrett Gainey from a couple years ago, that same kind of personality and fire. And when you're going out there pitching lights out like he is, in fact, last night when he gave up the one hit, I was like, oh, wow, he can give up a hit.
He's
like
human.
It almost seemed shocking for a moment. Every outing he's had so far this year has been really, really good. Namely the one the other night against Clemson where he helped shut things down after, Josh Gunther was done with 7 innings. And look, I think the strength of this team this year is going to be pitching. If they're going to win games, it's going to have to come with good performances on the mound. And it's good that you have a reliable closer in Valentin.
Absolutely. Like the way Paul put it yesterday was that the 3 most key parts of a pitching staff are your game 1 starter, your game 2 starter, and then your closer. So we know last year South Carolina blew a handful of games in the late innings. It wasn't really like the offense had a lot of problems last year, but there were games where they'd score 10, 11 runs. Again, I mentioned it before. Auburn, that walk-off loss, they lost like 11-10. There was obviously the infamous Texas A&M game where you're up 12-2 and your pitching blows the game and gives up 13 runs the rest of the way in a 15-12 loss. There were a lot of games last year where the pitching staff really fumbled in the last few innings. And so to have a guy like Valentin, again, we are early in the season. I will not make official judgments on what this pitching staff is or what they aren't until we get to conference play or we see them go up against equal or better competition. If the pitching staff does well then you got something here, because I think this offense will eventually get it going. I just think there's too many talented pieces. But the pitching staff, it has looked better so far. And Valentin and Stone in the bullpen, very good. And the other thing I will say, I'm sure some people are wondering, why are you throwing Stone and Valentin in a midweek game? Well, they're not playing on Friday. They have a doubleheader on Saturday. And the reason for that really is Princeton, Ivy League has rules about kids missing class, student athletes. So they're not really able to skip 2 days worth of class. So they're going to travel, I think it's on Friday, to South Carolina and getting there in time for Saturday. So
those Ivy Leaguers, they're real student athletes because
oh yeah,
the academics do truly come first up
yes.
there. As like in football, up until the past year or so, they haven't been able to compete in the postseason
Now they are.
because the finals and stuff like that take place in December. They've obviously changed that rule. Yale won a game last year with Tony Reno. Coaching and Dante Reno playing quarterback up there. But yeah, they do very much put the academics first up there.
Yes.
So Princeton not coming in until late Friday. So that's why you're going to have the doubleheader on Saturday, which again looks like the weather's going to be really nice for, and hopefully people want to get out there and check the team out.
Yeah, hopefully. But again, it made sense to throw those two guys last night because even in my head, I'm like, why are you throwing Brandon Stone? Like, I guess that means he's not going to be in the rotation this weekend. But honestly, he might just work better as a reliever. And it's the same thing with Valentin. Honestly, going into the Clemson series, when I figured they were going to make changes to the rotation, I really did think Valentin made sense for being a starter on Sunday because he had pitched so well. But honestly, at this point, leave him in the bullpen. Leave him at the back end of the bullpen because you really don't know you have a great close. It's much like when Paul says you really don't know you have a good third baseman until you do have one. You really don't know you have a good closer until he's out there doing exactly what he's been doing.
Well, and I think Stone throwing last night tells us that Riley Goodwin's going to still continue to be a starter a starter this upcoming weekend, which again, the performance last weekend against Clemson wasn't the best, but I don't think you want to kill the guy's confidence by taking him completely out of the weekend. So you give him another opportunity. Obviously, you want to have your rotation figured out by the time you get to Florida next week, but I would imagine we're looking at the same starting three for this weekend as well.
I don't have a problem with it, honestly. I mean, Gunther's going to start game one, obviously. You'll have Amp game two. I think he's going to bounce back. Goodman's the big one. The talent's all there. It hasn't worked as far as his command, and maybe it has something to do with the way he's throwing. Or I doubt teams are tipping his pitches, but you never know. It could always be a possibility. So that's something that again, when Maneri talks about Terry and Riley are going to go make adjustments, they're going to watch over the film, they're going to check everything out. This is the little stuff that I think they can figure out. Okay, is like, what are we seeing in Riley's delivery? Maybe that is there anything there that is causing him to not be able to locate his pitches? Because again, he was great in the fall, great in the preseason against South Carolina's bats, but so far this regular season, ever since the opening day, he just hasn't really been able to command the zone consistently. So that's going to be the main thing here, I think, for him this weekend. Before, if you want him in the rotation for SEC play, I think you really do need to see some sort of better result this weekend. Whether it's simply just walking less guys and not getting into trouble. He could work through 4 innings, and I think that's okay. As long as you're not having the same control issues as last time. Because, I mean, he's thrown a lot of wild pitches, walked a lot of guys, hit a few batters. That's just a little bit uncharacteristic.
We did also learn last night after the game about an update in reference to Reese Moore, who'd been out for the past handful of games. Cut number 26 here, Dave. Here is Coach Maneri giving the latest on Reese Moore after last night's game.
Yeah, Reese is going to need to have surgery, and he's going to miss the rest of the season. You know, he had that torn meniscus in his knee in the fall, and they did surgery on it, but the damage in his knee was a little more extensive than just, clean it up a little bit. Gavin Braylon had the same surgery, but his was really a kind of a routine, if there's such a thing, a routine meniscus tear, and they cleaned up his knee, but Reese's was worse. So there's a surgery they need to do to give him long-term health, and it hasn't been scheduled yet, and that's why I didn't want to say anything about it before. It wasn't even decided that he was going to have this surgery. Now it's been decided he's going to have the surgery, but we don't know when it's going to be. But yeah, so we lost a guy that really was our 3-hole hitter there and was doing a good job for us. So it's just something we have to deal with,
So Reese Moore going to be out for the rest of the season there. As you heard from Paul Maneri, hadn't played since the Queens game last week. And, you've seen him in the limited action so far this year. Gave you some good performances. Like you said, that 3-hole was obviously a 300 hitter, is in his time at Iowa a season ago. And that's a big loss for a lineup that is still trying to find its identity when it comes to offense.
100%. I really like his bat in that lineup. A left-handed hitter. he really was a good hitter at Iowa, and it stinks that his time at South Carolina has been riddled with injuries. I mean, he was out for the entire fall because you got to remember he did have the meniscus surgery on his knee in the fall, and I guess it just wasn't that simple of a procedure where it's like you clean up the knee and that's it. Like something obviously furthermore was wrong, and so it stinks that you're losing him for the year, especially since he was hitting pretty well. And that's a middle of your order bat. That's a 3-hole hitter. So, look, South Carolina is really going to have to. This is where guys have to step up and really come through because there are a lot of talented hitters that you brought in from the transfer portal. Moore was obviously one of the few guys that really was hitting his weight of what we saw from his previous stints at Iowa. But hopefully, these other guys, I mean, the other thing is you have 3 catchers now. Thankfully, Talmadge is healthy. That would be a big loss if you ever had him go down. But right now, Talmadge is healthy, and it's a DH, so I think they'll be able to replace that. But some guys have really got to get going here.
Again, the news, Reese Moore going to be lost for the rest of the season there with that surgery. Real quick, want to hit the stats that matter from last night. Runners in scoring position, Carolina 1 of 7. Runners on base, 3 of 13. 7 strikeouts at the plate. Pitching a whole lot better, 9 total strikeouts, only 3 free passes, and 1 extra base hit allowed. So again, that kind of tells the story of how last night's game was. Great pitching performance. Offense, not phenomenal. Again, maybe the team being sick had something to do with that. And we'll see how they fare this weekend against Princeton.
Real stat that matters. They're 2-0 so far this week. They need to be going 6-0 before heading to Florida.
The fan base definitely needs that to happen. That's for sure.
You're a third of the way there, so we'll see.
So again, Princeton doubleheader coming up on Saturday and Game 3 coming up on Sunday. We'll talk about that a little bit more coming up tomorrow. But yesterday, Jack Veltri went viral on football Twitter. We'll tell you why coming up next. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri live at Griffin Pools and Spas in Lexington, going until noon here on the game.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much the same. He's gonna be on you from point one from the beginning all the way to the end. Him and Coach Move is like the energy level just stay high throughout the whole time. So yeah.
Extra points, Outerhead and Jack Veltri live at Griffin Pools and Spas in Lexington going up until noon. That was the voice of transfer offensive lineman Emmanuel Kojo Poku yesterday talking to the media about Coach Randy Clements, who's taking over as the offensive line coach here at South Carolina. And yesterday was the first opportunity that we all got to see, you guys going out there covering practice, and those of us that got to see the clips and stuff on social media and on YouTube about what his first practice as the offensive line coach was going to look like. And Jack, I don't think you expected your video of a very basic drill to get the attention not only here locally, but nationally from all the pundits around college football of what he was putting his offensive linemen through during practice yesterday.
Everyone's an expert, right? So, yeah, I had a few clips kind of go crazy yesterday. So the Clements one with the offensive line was the main one. Luke, everyone's up in arms, I guess, over Luke Doty coming back.
Why?
I don't know.
I get it.
I don't know.
I thought we loved Luke Doty.
Yeah, I know. And then look, I'm gonna admit my wrongs. I accidentally I posted a video of Lenoris throwing over the shoulder balls, and I said back shoulder. Look, I'm going to football vocab rehabilitation clinic here soon, so I will not make that mistake again. So I got that wrong, so I deleted that tweet because I just did not want to hear it. But yeah, Randy Clements got a lot of heat yesterday from fans, college players, even NFL players. You had a lot of different guys, offensive linemen around the country. You had some club football offensive line coaches talking about that drill's not right. And then a few hours after, you had Randy himself, Randy Clem, on his own Twitter posting how the drill is applied during a game.
So for those that didn't get to see it, and you can find it on Jack's Twitter from yesterday, it's gotten up to 1 million views at this point in time to tell you how much run this has gotten so far. But he's got all the offensive linemen, and I'm trying to find the right word for what these bars are.
So my understanding of it is you're trying to stay low as an offensive lineman because, back when I played, and again, my experience as an offensive lineman is far different than what these guys are going through. So I can only tell you what I know. But even back when I was in high school, we would do a drill much lower than what these little bars are looking like. We would go under like a table looking thing, and you would try to go under it, hitting a defensive lineman, but while driving him under the table, but staying low at the same time. So that's my only guess as to what they're doing here is like they're trying to stay low and level, but also they're working on their footwork because as you see in the clip that Clem posted of an in-game situation, guys staying relatively low, and then what he sees, there's an opportunity to lay a double team on. He kicks to the right and goes and creates a big hole for the running back. So, look, it's proof in the pudding that it may not look like it's doing much,
sure,
but it's day one of practice. Everyone here does not. The thing about Twitter, everyone can have an opinion, right?
And rarely do people ever actually go out and seek the context of what they're looking at before getting mad and upset about it. And we're all guilty of doing that. So I'm not saying we're perfect in that regard either, but like, you guys are out there at the beginning of practice. You saw them stretch. You saw them really kind of go through the paces before getting into the heavy stuff. So I imagine this is probably like a warm-up drill, right? Like this is just kind of getting things flowing before you get into the meat of practice.
We were literally 10 minutes into the actual portion of practice. So I understand it. And look, who are we to tell a former NFL offensive lineman? I had a guy from the Chiefs commenting on. I had a former Giants offensive lineman comment. Like, who are we to tell the guys that played the position what is right and what is wrong? But let them have their opinion. But at the same time, like, we literally see if Clem hadn't like made his own post specifying how the drill works and what it does in a game, then maybe like there would be even more outrage. But I think that kind of lessened the blow a little bit. And it kind of just showed like, hey, this stuff works. It may not look pretty, but man, it works.
Well, and Randy Clements has been a offensive line coach in some capacity for like 30 to 40 years. I'm going to defer to him on this one. Again, I've been an offensive lineman. You can speak more to it, but I understand the concept of what you're trying to accomplish. And again, if anything, it's a warm up before you actually get into practice. I don't know if people were expecting them to be knocking each other's heads off, 10 minutes
They
in
are
or whatever,
in
but
helmets. They're in just shells. They are not wearing full pads. I mean, it's like no different than like quarterbacks throwing to wide receivers without a defense out
yeah,
there. It's like
routes on air.
yeah, routes on
Yeah.
air. It's like, come on, like what are we talking about here? Like let the man coach.
Yeah.
It's his first day on the job, in the spring practice setting that is. But it's also like the guy's facing a ton of pressure this year.
Well, and I think that's kind of the microcosm of what this is how much pressure is being put on Randy Clements because the offensive line has been an issue for multiple years. Yeah, in 2023, we could say, okay, you just had a ton of injuries. That didn't help. But, even in the 24 season, it wasn't great. You just had a quarterback that was able to mask some of those deficiencies with how well he played. But obviously, you saw a big step back in that regard, last year. So Randy Clements is being looked at as the hopefully cure-all to an issue that's been persistent throughout Shane Beamer's entire time here, and that's a pretty big cross to bear, obviously. And we're not asking them to go out there and be the Joe Moore winning offensive line, in 2026. But if you can cut the sacks in half, I think we'd all consider that a win.
Give him assistant coach of the year if they cut the sacks in half. I mean, that would be. We're talking about sacks needing to be in the 20s, dude. That's a massive improvement if that's going to be the case. And also, look, they're a little banged up right now. I think the last thing you want these guys doing is bashing their heads against each other. There will be a time for that when they do go in full pads here in a few weeks. But I think it's too soon to judge what is wrong and what is right. The guy it's not like it's his first day ever coaching college football. The guy has been a veteran. And there's a reason why Shane Beamer believes in him and brought him in. And also why Kendall Briles believes in him and wanted him to follow him from TCU to South Carolina. So I think this is going to be a good hire by the end. And it'll be a big to me, I was just so impressed, even before the video blew up, of the fact of look how involved he and Jason Smith are in coaching these guys. Like they're going through drills that – let's just be called for what it is. When I was at practice last year, and I never saw Lonnie Teasley and those guys do a drill like what I saw yesterday. Now, take that for what you will, but I think I like it. I like seeing these guys get more involved and really coaching them up.
I'm just envisioning, the first SEC game against Mississippi State. Let's say they give up a sack on the first drive. People are going to reference that video.
Oh,
that's that dumb drill they were doing back in the spring. Look at them. They're not any better.
I had somebody comment on GC Live yesterday with me and Kendall saying something along the lines of, we'll know in October whether or not that drill worked. So
do you have your notifications for Twitter on your phone?
Yes. I get a lot. I got a lot yesterday. I did. And I mean, I even texted my brother, and he played offensive line at Marshall for a few years. And he was kind of like, that looks more like a drill for running backs and linebackers. So I think there's just kind of a split on it, honestly. Like, I understand the guys that played the position think this drill might be useless or whatever. But again, Clem posted the clip exactly of how the drill works and what it does in a game. So, I mean, you can knock it all you want and let the former guys that played the position tell you how it works and what's not good about it. But it clearly has some results in games.
Yeah, and look, not every single coach uses the exact same drills, for the offensive line. So I think it also depends on who coached you, how you came up, and what drills you did. And yeah, again, I'm not freaking out about it, but I don't think you expected to go viral in that way yesterday with your clips from practice.
Nah, man. I mean, it was just my Twitter probably will be blowing up for the next few days. So thanks, guys.
We'll come back, wrap up hour number one, and play some Lou Holtz clips as we remember the legendary college football and South Carolina coach as the Extra Point rolls along live from Griffin Pools and Spas in Lexington. Go until noon here in the game.
behind an outstanding offensive game plan. The former player of the year in the state of Ohio, Lou Holtz, completes probably the most improbable turnaround in the last 2 decades of college football. Coach, congratulations.
I didn't do it. The assistant coaches and the players, we had a good game plan the first half. We just didn't execute inside the 20. Second half, we did.
Points Outhead, Jack Felcher with you here on your Thursday on the game. That the voice of Lou Holtz. That was after the first Outback Bowl following the 2000 season, after he had turned the South Carolina football program around, going 0-11 the year prior, winning 8 games and getting to the Outback Bowl in 2000 was obviously one of the most significant things he ever accomplished in his coaching career. And I do think it's unfortunate, Jack, because I was watching some tributes and stuff last night that ESPN put out and stuff like that. And of course, winning the national championship at Notre Dame is the one thing that Lou Holtz is going to be known the best for. But I feel like nobody talks about his time here at South Carolina outside of this little bubble. I mean, they did like a 4-minute video on him and talked about Arkansas, Notre Dame, his time at William and Mary, the year he spent with the Jets. But like, there was no mention of his time at South Carolina, which is unfortunate because his turnaround here was something that was pretty incredible.
I'll say this. I didn't even realize he was an assistant here in the 60s at South Carolina. So I did not realize that until I looked at his Wikipedia page yesterday and saw that. So that's pretty cool that it kind of came full circle for him to come back to Carolina. But yeah, it is weird because it's like, and again, he never won a championship here or anything. He really had the 2 great seasons. And then South Carolina was set up to make a bowl game in 2004, but obviously the famous brawl at Clemson ended those hopes at the end. But yeah, I mean, look, he did something that, I mean, how many programs can you think of that go from being, on a 21-game losing streak to making the Outback Bowl? And at the time, bowl games are a lot bigger back then too.
There weren't as many.
Yeah, exactly. And the Outback Bowl, even now, I mean, it's the ReliaQuest Bowl now, but I would say that's probably like the second or third highest bowl game that an SEC team can go to. Typically, you're getting like Vanderbilt went to the ReliaQuest Bowl this year as a 10-2 team. So you're typically getting about a 9 or 10 win team to go to the Outback Bowl or ReliaQuest Bowl. Everyone calls it the Outback Bowl, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it still is.
The Bloomin' Onions. So, yeah, the fact that he was able to do that and beat Ohio State, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it certainly put the South Carolina program on the map there in the early 2000s. Again, Jack was too young to remember any of his coaching tenure. I very much remember the very back end of it there in those last couple of years, as I was 8 when he would have retired here at South Carolina. But of course, he had another career when it came to television. And man, every Saturday he was up there, cut number 20, Dave, arguing with Mark May on College Football Final.
You could cherry pick all you want, Mark. You've been on Ohio State. You've been against Ohio State as long as I've been on this show, which it goes back a way. But I think Ohio State's a great football team. I mean that sincerely. They could play Alabama. They can play Florida State.
And they get run on the dime.
They would hold their own.
Alabama's a gold standard. You saw what happened in regular season when Michigan played Alabama in the neutral site. They got housed.
And Michigan's not a good football team.
This year they were.
You take Alabama. I'll tell you what.
Alabama is a gold standard of college football today until somebody beats them. You look at who they play in conference. You look at they play the LSUs, they play the Texas A&M, they played this year, defeated those non-conference Virginia Tech. Tell me if Ohio State played the same schedule Alabama did, they wouldn't have at least 2 losses.
I would say I would not guarantee that. They've won 21 in a row. They're a good football team. And I want to tell you, Alabama.
Angry Lou Holtz is one of my favorite versions of Lou Holtz when it came to the television stuff. And there was nothing I loved more after enjoying a full day of college football and, still being up at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, watching college football final, watching the final verdict, to watch those two go at each other for 5 minutes, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny, but it's so Lou Holtz too. And you're right. Like, I think a lot of folks, I would say 95% of folks are definitely going to remember him most for what he did coaching football teams and winning at Notre Dame and obviously South Carolina too, but also Arkansas and the other schools that he was at. But I think there will be a group of people that definitely remember him for his media personality, his savvy back in the 2000s and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, definitely a guy that made the good transition, from coaching to TV.
Well, he never apologized for being himself. Like everything about Lou Holtz was organic, from his coaching style to the personality he had on TV, and I think that's what makes people love him so much. And again, the era of college football that he was coaching in was full of personalities left and right, and he was certainly one of them. And I think now, as we move into this era of college football where there aren't as many of those guys, we reminisce about guys like him a whole lot more because of how unique and special they were.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's kind of crazy to see. I mean, we've seen some legends pass away over the years, but yeah, Lou's definitely a big one in college football for sure. And again, lived a good life. I mean, 89 years old. I mean, I think a lot of people want to get to that stage in their life, make it to the 90s or whatever, but yeah, I mean, that's a guy that definitely lived a fulfilling life.
Made it to 89, and I learned this from seeing Reese Davis on Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt last night. Never drank water. Apparently, Lou Holtz did not believe in drinking water. That said it had no taste and didn't offer nutritional value. So, lived to be 89 without drinking water, per Reese Davis, which that's incredible.
I'm curious though, what's his choice of drink then?
I don't know.
I'm assuming he's a guy that likes his beer, but
He seemed like he was a black coffee guy.
Yeah, but you need water to.
Well, that's what my thought is. Like, I think we all need water to some degree to, survive, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Apparently,
I've only heard of like maybe one other person I know that did not like water because it has no taste to it, which is true. But it's such a weird thing that you don't hear.
He didn't drink water, apparently, and Preston has told me the story that he apparently always had a Snickers bar at practice every single day. So,
like that commercial where here, have a Snickers bar.
I guess that was his signature, but no water and a Snickers bar daily at practice.
So
still lived to be 89,
right.
which is impressive.
So that's gonna be the question for Eric Kimmery when we have him on. Then is okay. So what did Coach drink if it wasn't water?
Gatorade, I guess, because that was there.
I know.
I learned that last night on Sports Center per Reese Davis, that seems like a quirk that Lou Holtz would have had.
Just so strange.
Yeah.
No water.
No water. But Lou Holtz, truly one of a kind, passing away yesterday at the age of 89. He'll certainly be missed, certainly across all the entire college football world, but certainly here at South Carolina as well. We'll continue to talk about him. And again, Eric Kimmery coming up here in about 20 minutes or so to share his memories of Lou Holtz from his time here at South Carolina as well. We are live at Griffin Pools and Spas here in Lexington, going up until noon here on the game. How about now? All right. Sun's out.
Yeah.
That's great.
Now you know what? You know what? We're gonna push this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is cold. And this one's deeper, so this is probably.
Yeah. Jeez.
You know.
That would be that'd be tough right there. We'll sit back almost.
Yeah.
Not on top of each other.
Yeah.
Why not? We're all friends here.
Does this one work? Have we tested it?
Yeah, I just did.
Okay.
All right, welcome back in. Hour number 2. It is the Garnet Trust Hour presented by Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. Tyler Head, Jack Phelps, Chris Clark along with us now. Wes Mitchell will be coming along in a few minutes. As again, we're live at Griffin Pools and Spas in Lexington, going here up until noon. We'll get into some of the player sound and stuff coming up here in just a minute. But we were informed in the break by our guy Tim Frisbee. Apparently, Lou Holtz drank Diet Coke. That was his. That was his beverage of choice over water because, as I said, I learned last night from Reese Davis on SportsCenter, apparently Lou Holtz was anti-drinking water.
Anti-water. I really thought, so Preston Thorne, of course, here on the game, has told, obviously, plenty of Lou Holtz stories.
And there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, a high volume. I really thought it was Diet Dr. Pepper, but it might have been Diet Coke.
Maybe he switched it up. Maybe some years it was one.
Yeah, maybe. But he would tell stories on the golf cart, getting the diet. It was definitely a diet drink of some sort. There was also some snack.
It was Snickers bar.
It was Snickers bar.
He would have like a Snickers bar every day at practice from what Preston's told me.
Okay, there we go. Yes, that was it. So many Lou stories.
Here's the thing about Coke soda, Coke products, whatever. Don't you make isn't at the base of these drinks? Isn't water at the base of the drink?
base layer.
Every liquid is going to have a base layer of water to some degree.
So, in a sense, see, this is why I need to tell myself with the amount I drink Diet Pepsi, because you're going to have water in some form or fashion. But I don't know.
I think
strange.
the all the other stuff that gets put into it cancels out the benefit of the water to some degree.
Yeah.
Probably.
Have y'all ever seen the oh man, rabbit hole here. Have y'all ever seen the Tom Segura, Burt Kreischer, where they're doing the Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I go back to that I don't know, once a month, just cackling. Because Burt's got a 64-ounce Kool-Aid, and he's like, let me take a sip of Kool-Aid. And if he had never said that, we would never have been gifted that gold. He's like, I try to drink 2 of them a day. 2 Kool-Aids. Can you imagine the amount of sugar?
Oh my God.
How big are these Kool-Aids we're talking
about? He's got
it was
that.
It was like a 64-ounce Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
What,
whoa!
I'll send you the clip. You got to watch
128 ounces of Kool-Aid a day.
Absolutely hilarious. They're walking around like, man, look at that guy drinking all that water, man. He's in great shape.
He's in great shape, and it's
cool.
Kool-Aid the entire time.
Kool-Aid in there.
Which again, if Lou Holtz was drinking
Oh my
nothing but
gosh.
Diet Coke and Diet Dr. Pepper and eating Snickers bars every single day to live to 89, very impressive.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, there's 1 cup of sugar, which is approximately 200 to 225 grams of sugar in a 64-ounce. That's a pitcher of Kool-Aid, essentially.
Well, it also depends on how much you put it in yourself if you're making it yourself. So you can put it more or less depending on how
Bert
sweet you want
claims
it.
he watered it down a little bit.
A little, we'll
yeah, but
see.
you can only
But
water it down so
still,
much.
He also drinks many other things.
Yes, he does.
So it's
Yeah.
important for him to hydrate.
Yes.
We'll talk to Eric Kimmery in about 10 minutes, giving his thoughts on Lou Holtz and everything. And Chris, we've been talking about it all morning long. Obviously, somebody that meant a lot to the South Carolina program, as well as all of college football as a whole. And, there is no Steve Spurrier. There's no, Shane Beamer. There's no success in the 2000s with Gamecock football if it hadn't been for what Lou Holtz came in turning things around at the turn of the century.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, for South Carolina, it was such how rare is that, right? To get 2 college football legends who had national championships back to back, and both did great things here. Like ultimately, and I think both of these coaches said that, like when they got here, they had championship aspirations, and they weren't just getting up there saying, "Hey, we'd like to do this." You go, "This is a guy that's done it," right? And so, the late Mike McGee, deserves a lot of credit for taking those big swings and bringing those guys here. I think that's a great point. Something a lot of people have brought up is, would Steve Spurrier have come if there were no Lou Holtz? I mean, I guess you can argue it. Spurrier kind of, like Lou Holtz, marches to the beat of his own drum, no doubt about it. But he set the stage and took that program. I mean, look at his first year, and then where they, the finish wasn't great, but in between there, just did some great things here at South Carolina, and of course at other places too.
Now, how long have you been on the beat here at South Carolina?
So I did not cover Holtz. I mean, I was like,
you would have been in school
at the
time?
very end.
The very end.
At the very end. My first year at Carolina was 2004.
Okay.
So
you were just in college at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I started covering the team, I was mid Spurrier era. It was like 2009.
I guess I need to ask Wes that question then. Sorry.
No, does
anyone get the joke?
That is a funny joke.
I got it.
Wes and I are actually like very similar in age, and we're the exact same like class at Carolina too.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like he was, I think, 04 to 08.
I can't even
in terms of the
imagine
class.
getting to I'm sure like David Cloninger probably got to cover.
Oh yeah.
The Holtz and Spurrier, obviously the Spurrier era, but like that transition must have been kind of crazy because those are 2 larger than life football personalities. You got Lou Holtz, the way he is, and then you got Steve Spurrier, the way he is. Like it's pretty unique, to be honest.
Chris, do you remember how they went about getting him here? Because again, this was a program that had not had a ton of success in its history, and to get a future college football Hall of Famer, a guy that had won a national championship a decade prior, that's pretty impressive. Like, do you remember the conversation surrounding that as it was happening?
Not as much because, I wasn't in it, and I was kind of like around high school. A lot of people remember it a lot better than me, but I've talked to some people who were around for it. And, Alan Piercy, who's an author, who's also contributed some pieces and some excerpts from his books to Gamecock Central. So I'll properly credit him. I was actually looking it up this morning. They had a press conference for Holtz at Williams-Brice when he got here. Alan said there was about 4,000 people there, and carrying a Diet Coke, of course.
There you go.
Came into 2001, had a 20-minute speech and said, "Hey, our goal is to win a national championship." So, Holtz had been here at South Carolina under Paul Dietzel, which I think you kind of forget during the 66 and 67 seasons. And then, of course, he went to old William and Mary.
So what did he say? We need to recruit more Williams and less Marys?
Yeah. He said a lot of things. NC State, Arkansas, actually coached in the NFL, Minnesota, Notre Dame, of course, where he kind of really grew his legend and just a motivational speaker and then, was around the game. I mean, Y'all remember his segments with Mark May?
Oh yeah, we played a clip of that the last hour.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting thing is for people like me and Jack, and I was 8 years old when he coached his last year here at Carolina, so I have a little memory of the back end of his coaching career, but we remember him better for what he did on television because that was a second career where he was still on TV for basically another decade plus. And I said there's nothing better than being up at 12:30 in the morning after watching a full day of college football when he and Mark May were at each other's throats about which quarterback was going to win the Heisman that year or something like that.
The other cool thing about Lou that I don't even know if a lot of people realize, he has a Presidential Medal of Freedom. So that was given to him
a couple years ago, right?
6 years ago in 2020. Yeah. So, and that is the highest civilian honor. So, I mean, that's something that's really cool that obviously goes far beyond football. Like, of course, that's his contribution there, but that's something that not the everyday person gets. So,
yeah. You want to know what he said about the chicken curse too?
Oh boy, yes.
So, like very early in the tenure, and this is also, brought to us by Alan Piercy. So he kind of dismissed it. And he said, and I'm like, I'm not going to attempt it, but I'm reading this statement in the Lou Holtz voice in my head. The chicken curse affects us most when we don't block or tackle. How about that? We were talking about that yesterday. Like, you can say it's the chicken curse. A lot of times it's just something you did that affected the outcome of a game. Sometimes it's not, right? Like you have bad luck or whatever.
Chicken curse didn't make you miss that block.
Absolutely not.
The chicken curse.
I also saw the clip going around yesterday that people are passing around with the newspaper trick.
Yes, I still don't know how he does that.
I went down a rabbit hole, started looking it up. Apparently, it's like a I'd never seen it, but it's like a semi-common magic trick. But Holtz would do it a lot, and there's like a YouTube video where you can learn to do it. And it completely lost me like immediately.
Yeah, I'll have to dive down that rabbit hole because I saw him do it for the first time in the clip yesterday, and I'm like, that is the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, like how did he come up? Like I think he didn't invent the trick, right?
Sure.
But like where in the midst of coaching football and all that,
have time.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do this newspaper trick. Let me learn this.
Dave was telling me in one of the breaks he had an interesting Lou Holtz story that he wanted to share. Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, I got two real quick. A personal one when he first came here, right after a practice in August, right? It's August. It's hot as heck. And he says at the press conference, he goes, boy, this place must be right next door to hell.
Yeah. Wasn't wrong.
The other one comes from NC State. When he was coach at NC State, he decides to get the players to not drink whiskey or alcohol, don't drink. So he sets up on the podium a cup. It says here water, but maybe it was Diet Coke. I don't know. And another glass with whiskey in it. And he takes an earthworm, puts it in the glass of water or Diet Coke, whichever it was. And the worm swims around. It's happy as it can be, And then he takes the worm out of that and puts it in the glass of whiskey. And the worm goes insane and dies really quickly. And he says, see, boys, see what happens if you drink whiskey? And some big lineman stands up and goes, yes, coach, if I drink whiskey, I don't get worms. So that was
that's pretty good.
Yeah, so that was
a life lesson being taught.
Yep.
He had many. Yes, he came back to USC. Several times, but I was watching somebody graduate, and I think it was in 2012, and I think they gave him an honorary doctorate. He did the commencement speech. It was great as always. He's just a gifted speaker. He had an almost unmatched wit. Steve Spurrier certainly there too, right? And they're very different, like in their delivery and everything. But Holtz was, he was something with that.
Yeah, I guess we never got the opportunity to see Holtz and Spurrier match wits with each other, going back and forth. But I imagine that would have been an interesting conversation.
Did they ever play each other?
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah,
absolutely. At South Carolina, Florida. Yeah. But aside from that, was there a carryover? I can't believe I said, did they play? There's a bunch of games. There was a game where Carolina got up early and then just ended up getting whooped in the swamp. So yeah, they did match up together. I'd like to go back and listen to some of those. There had to have been some kind of joint
Yeah, them together at something, or if anything, after they retired, being honored somewhere where them going back and forth and matching barbs probably would have been very entertaining.
Yeah.
So we'll get more into the Lou Holtz conversation coming up next. Eric Kimmerer going to join us on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines to share his memories and experiences of playing for Lou Holtz here in South Carolina as the Garnet Trust Hour, presented by Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, rolls along on your Thursday here on The Game.
What about now?
Let me make sure that thing's.
Can you hear me now? Hello, Dave. My name is Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. How do I sound? Down, down, down. What about now? Is it good or is it perfect? Chris is dressed for the pool. Yeah, I've got a short song, got a sandal.
That water's freezing.
I was trying to tell Jack that it was a heated pool and he could jump in. Griffin Pools and Spas. I feel like they got a pretty good jingle, man. It sticks to you. A good jingle will have you kind of quietly humming it to yourself.
Yeah.
Every now and then, and you'll just be like, why am I doing this?
That's how advertising works.
However you make money work, Wells Fargo can work with that. Don't you love being treated special when you shop and saving money? That just makes it even better. At Gamecock Traditions,
EK this segment.
Yep.
save on all your Gamecock gear. Sign up for their emails.
He sent me a voice note with the Lou Holtz impression.
Your alumni association card or your faculty ID and score a discount on Gamecock merchandise. Military, you save. Is it your birthday? You save. And don't forget their loyalty program. Earn cash back on every purchase, and it never expires. That's the Gamecock Traditions way. Lexington, Sand Hills,
I'm so tired of the cold, you know, so
Welcome to summer.
Not quite there yet.
Summer, I'll be like, can we go inside?
There's a difference between 80 degrees and 100. I can pull it up. Okay. Welcome back in. Garnet Trust Tower presented by Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. Tyler Head, Jack Felcher, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell out at Griffin Pools and Spas here in Lexington going up until noon. Of course, we've been talking a lot about Lou Holtz all morning long, sharing memories of him and talking about his career. Now joining us on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines is our guy, Eric Kimry. Eric, appreciate you taking your time with us this morning. Obviously, we knew that this news was coming with Lou Holtz going into hospice care not all that long ago. Your emotions when you found out about his passing yesterday?
Hey, guys, I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, I mean, of course, tough day. I think the biggest thing that really hits many of us that played for him is just gratitude, you know, grateful that we were able to have Coach Holtz in our lives and the lessons that he taught us, the fun memories that we have of him, the countless stories of great things he said, whether it be witty, funny, hard on you, or, you know, just those life lessons that he endured to so many people. So, you know, I think really all of us that played for him is kind of a moment to pull everyone together and more than anything, just celebrate a great man and a great coach who had a huge impact on so many people.
EK, it's Chris. Thanks for taking time on short notice, man. So let's go there in terms of just the stories, and I'll kind of open it up for you. You obviously have countless Holtz stories. Give us maybe one or two of your best ones, whether they're just big moments, funny ones, life lessons, whatever it may have been that you just went through.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's so many, but you know, just some fun ones with Coach. I remember one day it was like a really windy day of practice, maybe 30, 40 mile an hour gust, and one of our big D linemen walked up to Coach and said, "Hey, Coach, you better be careful. This wind may blow you away." And we all know Coach wasn't a big guy, like maybe 5'7", 140 pounds, and Coach, just as witty as he was, just really quickly said, "Oh no, I'm good. I've got my wallet in my back pocket." So I love that. After practice, sometimes Coach had a little bit of a temper. Sometimes he would lose it, but you know, we all know how faith was a really important part of Coach's life, and he was really quick to share his faith with people. He's a strong Catholic guy, and sometimes you could tell his conscience would get the best of him. So he'd pull us up after practice. "Hey guys, I need you to do one thing. I need you to go to church on Sunday and ask God's forgiveness for making me cuss." So just things like that all the time. But as funny as he could be, he also drove home, you know, a lot of great points and life lessons. And you know, Coach kept things simple, and really his biggest things were, you know, do what's right, give it your best, and show people that you care. And he broke those down into really three things: trust, commitment, and care. He'd always say, "Can I trust you? Are you committed? Do you care?" And so he harped on those things all the time. And I'll tell you what, you know, to me, I knew things were different the first time he walked into that meeting room at South Carolina. We had just gone 1-10 with Coach Scott, and Coach Holtz walked in and immediately commanded everyone to sit up and look him in the eye. And right then and there, I knew things were going to be different. I knew that this guy was different. He commanded such a presence. He had such a vision. And so I think for a lot of us that played for him to be able to be a part of the greatest turnaround in college football at the time, going from 0-11 to 8-4 to 9-3, those are just memories that we'll carry, you know, for the rest of our lives.
Hey, EK, it's Wes. I appreciate you hopping on, man. Do you know of anyone else, or is there anybody else you've ever met that was more just able to live up to the larger than life sort of
the vision of that person. Like we've had so many people weigh in, like even on our message boards about like meeting Lou at the airport, playing in a golf tournament with him. And every single one of them, it seems like, has a story about Lou, where it was either the wit, he was funny, or he, maybe was ribbing them. It's like this guy not only had this reputation, but it seems like he lived up to this larger than life vision that everybody kind of had for him.
Yeah, Wes, I totally agree with that. I mean, he was a guy, you got to think about who Coach was. Like I said, he wasn't a big guy. He wasn't an athletic guy, but he just had this passion to lead and coach football. And so he had to really lean on his intellect. And, at the end of the day, Coach was just a really smart guy who had a strong intuition about how to motivate people. He did that in football, of course. He did that in his speaking. I mean, he was a world-renowned, motivational speaker and writing. And so he just had a profound understanding of human beings and how they operated. And he had the courage to stand by his convictions, even when he wasn't pleasant at times. There was usually a calculated reason why he was doing what he was doing. But at the end of the day, he cared. And I think when people come into contact with him, because he, is a unique guy, like I said, he's not big. He's got the glasses. He has the lisp. But the words that would come out of his mouth, you would always, you were taken aback by him because there was such profound wisdom and thought that went through it all. So definitely a unique guy. Yeah, I can't say I've ever met anyone like Lou Holtz in my life.
Eric, I know you've probably been very deliberate in how you kind of wanted to be in terms of building your own football programs. Was there anything specifically that you feel like you took away from Lou as you were kind of figuring out what you wanted to be about as a coach?
Oh, there's just too much to even talk about. I think that, early in my career, when you're in your early 20s, you think you know everything. And, you go out and you're like, well, I'm not going to do these things that Coach did that maybe is not within my personality or I disagree with. But I think, Coach was a complex guy. But the further you get away with it, with time and age and hopefully a little maturity, you realize the unbelievable strength that he had and the lessons that he had and the impact that he had on my life and my coaching style. And I think the further I'm removed from having actually played for him and coached for him, the more grateful I am. And the more I think back and like, I remember when Coach said that or did that this way. So to put those into one or two examples would not be doing him justice, the impact that he's had on my coaching career.
Eric, it's Jack Veltri. Thanks for joining us. You mentioned the turnaround earlier. What do you remember about that first win you guys got in that 2000 season over New Mexico State? What was Coach Holtz like after that game? And then just what did that do for you guys the rest of the way, eventually leading to that Outback Bowl win?
That was a fun game. I remember standing kind of somewhere on maybe the 40-yard line with thousands of Carolina fans that just tore down the goalpost to end the 21-game losing streak that we had. And so, Coach had perspective. The 0-11 year was incredibly difficult. We lost like double-digit offensive linemen for the year. Coach's wife had some health issues. Skip had some health issues. It almost felt like some type of demonic attack on us that year. But he stood the ground. I'll never forget. He had us, write down like one of the worst things that happened last year on a piece of paper. And we all went out to the field and we put them in a brown paper bag and he lit it on fire. And he said, guys, last year's gone. Like we're moving on and this thing's going to turn around. And he had a very distinct belief that it was going to happen. And he made us believe that. And it did happen. But specifically after that game, anytime we won a big game, Coach kind of always doubled down. He wouldn't let you relax. He pushed you forward to think about the next game at hand. It was really when he lost the game that you actually saw the compassionate side of him come out. So he was a master of trying to, essentially guide our focus in the right direction. And after that game and after the Georgia game, the week after that, and after the Mississippi State game, 2 weeks later, where we're sitting there 4-0 and ranked now, Coach always doubled down and was like, hey guys, we haven't proven anything yet. And the next game is the biggest game.
Eric, we got about 2 minutes before we hit a hard break here. There's a story out there, and I can't remember who tells this one. Maybe a lot of people do, but just about the mindset of Lou on a game week, kind of building you up to where kind of that I'm going to tear you down at the beginning of the week, build up the opponent, and by game day, like he's got you guys ready to go beat the Cowboys or something? Can you kind of speak to the mindset of that kind of wave you would ride leading up to a game?
Oh yeah, he would get up on a Sunday, and if we had 3 or 4 guys that rated out what we call winners, he would draw us up on the board, and then let's just say we were playing Georgia or whoever. He'd be like, "Oh look, they got David Pollock. He's All-American. He counts as 3, and they got Bailey, and he's All-American. He counts as 2." And then it would be, "We got 3 guys on their 22 guys. Georgia's going to beat us 63-0 and walk out of the room." Well, every day that we could practice, the score after the game, after the day of practice, got a little bit better. And I'll never forget him coming in and saying, "Hey guys, I got one thing to say. We got no obligation to ESPN to even keep this thing close." And so it was a complete transformation from we're going to get killed to we're going to kill them as the week went on. And that was just Coach's way of, making us focus in on practice and giving best effort.
Last one for you here. Got about 30 seconds. You've been peppering in the Lou Holtz impression. Do you do the best, and does every former player have one?
I do not do the best. I think Courtney Levitt does it the best. Phil Petty, rest his soul, was really good at it as well. So a few of us developed it over the years. I was one of the first to do it, but I think I would give that award to Courtney Levitt, our former kicker. He has it absolutely dead on.
Okay, well, we appreciate that. Thank you for sharing your memories of Coach Holtz, and we appreciate your time as always, Eric.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Go Cox.
And former Gamecock there, Eric Henry, joining us on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. We'll continue to talk about Coach Holtz as we're out here hanging out at Griffin Pools and Spas all morning long. Coming up next, though, we are going to talk with Chris Wellbaum of Gamecock Essentials. They get set for the women's team in action at the SEC tournament coming up tomorrow as we continue on with the Garnet Trust Hour presented by Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing on your Thursday on the Game.
All right, everybody, let's tell you about our friends over at Krantz Cooling, Heating, and now Plumbing. So Krantz Cooling, Heating, Plumbing can take care of any of your home or residential HVAC needs, as they have been since 1983. They've also now added plumbing to the business. So if you got a leak, if you've got any type of plumbing issue that you need help with at your home or business, you can reach out to them. It's still krantzcooling.com, Krantz, cooling with a K, krantzcooling.com. Indoor air quality, heating, AC repair, maintenance, installation, and we're excited to announce plumbing now. Justin Krantz, general manager there, great friend of the show, big Gamecock. Hear him all over the station all the time. They're the presenting sponsor every Tuesday, Thursday of the Garnet Trust Hour. If you want a local, reliable company that can help you with any of your HVAC needs or your plumbing needs at your home or business, reach out to them, request a quote online, get in touch. KrantzCooling.com. Check them out today.
Like remember the Marshawn Lloyd ladder drill? It's like my crowning achievement, 3-second video. 20 million views.
Welcome back in. Garnet Trust Hour presented by Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. Tyler, Jack, Wes, and Chris hanging out at Griffin Pools and Spas here in Lexington on this beautiful Thursday morning. Sun's out, and we're set up outside out here next to the pool, so couldn't ask for anything better, and excited for the weekend ahead that includes the SEC Women's Basketball Tournament. Already underway yesterday. South Carolina will be in action tomorrow, taking on either Georgia or Kentucky, who play a little bit later on this morning. Joining us now to preview that on the AAA Heating Air phone lines is our guy, Chris Wellbaum from Gamecock Central. Chris, appreciate the time as always. Again, when it comes to South Carolina, we're always kind of focused on the championships and stuff happening in the month of March, but how impressive is it, the run that Dawn Staley's been on with another consecutive SEC regular season title, going in as the number 1 seed to an SEC tournament where, again, they're going to be favored to win the entire thing this weekend?
Yeah, there's a lot of people thought this might have been one of Dawn's best coaching jobs, just given all the injuries and new faces and everything they've overcome. South Carolina lost 63 player games to injury, illness, suspension, and acclimation this year, and didn't miss a beat the entire season. So we almost take for granted that South Carolina is going to be in contention every year, but this is one of those years that we probably need to take a step back and make sure that we don't take it for granted, because they didn't just win. They won the SEC by 2 games, which is, as tough as the league is, that's incredible.
Welly, when you look at this tournament, the bracket, how things could shape out, I think we can all come up with, hey, South Carolina and maybe this team or a couple other teams are the favorite. But when you just look at the bracket itself, do you see any potential early upsets in here generally? Are there a couple teams that you say, hey, the bracket sets up really well for? Who's South Carolina's primary competition? And then what else do you see as potential maybe upset alert for certain teams in this thing?
Well, I think today the 2 big games today are the first game, Kentucky and Georgia, because Kentucky is on the bubble for a top 16 seed and a chance to host. So they need to win badly. They're in the tournament, but they need to win badly for their hosting hopes. And then the nightcap, the Tennessee-Alabama game. Tennessee is trying everything they can to play themselves out of the tournament right now. So they and Alabama's is not coming in playing their best, but Tennessee desperately needs a win just for something to go right up there. And then talking about the teams to be afraid of for South Carolina, it's if they have to play LSU on Saturday, those games are always close, and winning what's the count now? 18 straight against LSU, 17, whatever it is. Someday LSU is going to win.
Chris, it's Jack. Thanks for joining us. And you have a good story out on Gamecock Central right now. Raven Johnson joins the Gamecocks' Defensive Player of the Year sorority. You've covered her up close and personal. It's her first time winning this award. How good is Raven Johnson defensively for those who have just not gotten the chance to just see how good she is at guarding in women's basketball?
Yeah, sometimes the Defensive Player of the Year is kind of a consolation award where they give it to somebody who they thought maybe should have been Player of the Year but got boxed out. But Raven definitely deserved Defensive Player of the Year this year. She guards the other team's best scorer regardless of position. Her arm, she's so strong. Her arms are so long that she doesn't play like her listed height of 5'9". She plays more like 6'1" or 6'2". I mean, they put her on Madison Booker, who's I think 6'1". They put her on point guards. They're not afraid to switch her on to centers when there's a pick and roll situation. And Raven doesn't necessarily have the typical defensive stats with steals and blocks, but that's because she plays much more fundamental. She doesn't gamble. She just denies everything you're trying to do.
Welly, let's talk a little bit about Medina Okot. Her play as of late, the touch she's been shooting with, the confidence she's been playing with, do you think that she is building towards I mean, is she someone that almost could carry this team to greater heights than what we thought the upside this team could be if she can keep playing the way she is right now?
Absolutely. There's a point where you just sit there and laugh when against Kentucky, South Carolina had a cold spell, so they ran a play to get a shot from Medina. And you're like, okay, that makes sense. You want to get her the ball near the basket. No, they ran her off a screen to set up a 3-pointer. And it's just not fair to the other team when your 6'6" center is out there knocking down threes coming off screens. She's already a mismatch just because of her size, but when she's shooting like this, when she's rebounding the way she is, when she's doing all of it together, she might be the best post in the league.
Chris Wellbaum, Gamecock Central, joining us here previewing South Carolina in the SEC Women's Tournament coming up tomorrow, which you'll be able to listen to right here on the game with pregame coverage starting at 11:30. Last time we saw them in action was Sunday against Kentucky, where they survived a scare, had a really bad fourth quarter, but were able to escape with the victory. Dawn didn't seem too concerned about that carrying over as they head into action tomorrow, possibly taking on Kentucky once again. What's your takeaway from what you saw on Sunday?
It was kind of one of those games. For some reason, South Carolina does not play well on the last day of the regular season. I think that's 5 or 6 straight years where they've kind of underwhelmed in the last game. I don't know why that is. I don't know if they're looking ahead. I don't know if they're tired. They were definitely tired on Sunday, but whatever it was, Kentucky did not play especially well either. So, like I said, you kind of chalk it up to one of those games that's just ugly and inefficient. But as you said, Dawn didn't seem too worried. If Dawn's not worried, I'm not worried. South Carolina always plays well in the SEC tournament. They'll be playing a team coming off of either on its second or third consecutive day of playing, so they'll have a big advantage in rest on Friday. They should win Friday, regardless of who they play. Saturday's when it starts to get interesting.
Yeah, and Welly, about one more minute here before we got to hit a hard break. What South Carolina's thought of course, is a 1 seed going in. Is there anything that could happen in this tournament for them that could have them in danger of getting bounced for that status? Are they a 1 no matter what? Or, do they have to win a game or two? How do you see that?
I think they're a 1 no matter what. Winning the SEC by 2 full games pretty much secures that. They want to be the 3rd overall seed in play in Fort Worth. To keep that, I think they have to. I think they're pretty safely in that spot, but they need to win Friday. The worst case scenario would be losing Friday and having Texas win the whole thing. That would give the Longhorns a case to jump them for the 3rd overall seed.
Chris, we appreciate it as always, man. I enjoy the time up there in Greenville, and I'm sure we'll hopefully be talking about another tournament championship coming up here in a couple of days, and we'll start previewing the NCAA tournament as well.
All right, thanks for having me.
And Chris Wellbaum there of Gamecock Central joining us on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Carolina will be in action tomorrow afternoon at noon, taking on the winner of Georgia and Kentucky, which get tipped off coming up here in about 15 minutes up there in Greenville. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the hour. A lot of you sharing your thoughts on the Firehouse Subs text line of Lou Holtz. We'll share some of those memories coming up next as we wrap up hour number 2 live here at Griffin Pools and Spas in Lexington here on the game. Welcome back in. Garnet Trust Hour presented by Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. Tyler Head, Jack Veltry, Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell out here hanging out at Griffin Pools and Spas going up until noon. Again, it's turned into a beautiful day. The sun's out. We have determined the temperature in the pool is very cold, so I don't think anybody's going to be jumping in today unless somebody finds $100 for Jack, right?
Wait, $100? That's the going rate?
Is that $100?
I'll do
right?
$100. Yeah.
We can scrounge up
You're going to give
$100.
somebody $100 for jumping in the pool.
No.
He would do it.
I would do it. I would do it for $100.
Oh yeah, if y'all would have told me that, I would have brought my
Turn
bathing
this
suit.
camera around. I'll jump in the pool for $100.
In your clothes.
Well, we have
in my
to come
clothes,
up,
yes.
We have to come up with $100 first.
Okay.
I'll do it. So.
33 apiece, and we get him to jump in the pool.
No, I'm not paying. I think you should just do it.
Do it for.
I'm being cheap.
Do it. Do it for the gram, so to speak.
Yeah.
Do it for the vine.
Do it
Yeah,
for the vine.
we'll take a video, put it up. Jack's going viral over here, so we'll
I was
just
gonna
keep
say
it going.
all of Jack's videos go viral now, anyway. So.
Jack was the talk of football Twitter yesterday. For
Jack's video was.
Jack's
Yeah,
video,
I'm glad I was not the talk. I put a stop to that yesterday.
Well, we went back to the influencer thing the other week. He does have the most impressions on a tweet out of all three of you. So I guess he's trying to rival that once again.
In other words, figure it out, guys.
So
He's up to
it's a masterclass.
And I tweeted this. Jack woke up, went to practice. Jack, be honest with us, man. When you posted a video of a random O-line drill,
a 10-second video,
did you have any thought whatsoever that it was remotely controversial?
No. And even when I was watching, I'm like, all right, these guys are getting very involved in the drill, and I like what I'm seeing. Like, I did not see the offensive line doing anything to that degree whenever we were at practice in the last few years. So, but the fact that it's not just blown up. It's every person humanly possible that has ever played offensive line or coached. Like, dude, there was
they've just watched an offensive line. They have an opinion.
It was insane. There was former college guys, NFL guys. There was even like club football coaches talking like, what is going on here? Like, everyone has an opinion, which is fine, but it's insane. A harmless video yesterday.
I think
don't shoot the messenger.
I think everybody that weighed in has to post their practice drills, their stats, and their record.
Yeah, like
fair.
Okay,
from the past like 5 years.
If you're the coach in this situation, what are you doing differently? How are you making this better?
Yeah.
Give a solution.
Here's the thing, man. It's a day one spring drill. Like, good Lord.
It's insane. And then it was so funny. I think I was at baseball yesterday when I saw Clem posted the clip of the drill and how it works.
The
in
exact
game.
translation.
It was so fun. I don't know if it was intentionally supposed to be funny,
Yes.
but it was so humorous because everyone's dogging him. It's like,
well,
the drill
then people started saying, well, that's not the actual translation of the drill.
Telling
It's like,
the
well, for him
coach-
it is.
Yeah,
It totally is.
By the way, Clem didn't really strike me as a Twitter guy, so that
I
did
know.
surprise me a
definitely
little bit.
not.
I'm liking this.
I actually liked the response, though. He didn't respond specifically to anyone.
Yeah.
He was just like, here's the receipts. Bye.
Yeah. Low man wins. Like, whatever happened to that? Like, low man wins.
I don't know.
Some of the coaches said it's not about leverage. Here's the thing.
What is it about?
There's a crazy idea. Like, there's a lot of coaches, a lot of teams, a lot of players. Not all of them teach the same way.
Right.
So, like, I'm sure, like, in football, yes, there's a wrong way. At some point, there's a wrong way to do something. There's also more than one, like, right way. Like, not every coach like, there's been really good defensive coaches who do not teach what Nick Saban taught. Whether it's drill work, scheme, there's different schemes, there's different techniques, there's different drills. Like, you can have a drill, and even if you don't like it, like, if you look at it and it helps that coach get results in that team, like, it's a good drill at the end of the day.
Like, my thing is, like, I think people are reacting to this as if that's the only drill they're doing.
They just go out and rep that
they
constantly.
Just do that
That's
over
the whole
and over
practice.
again.
No.
Again, it's within the first 10 minutes of the first spring practice. Like, context is important here.
And
they're
it's
going to be doing other things.
It's day one. They're in helmets. And a lot of people also were up in arms about Luke Doty being out there coaching. Like, as much as if it weren't for that Clem video, Luke Doty would probably be getting the spotlight right now because that one's got like almost 300K views.
Why?
You and I were talking about this earlier. This Luke Doty is far from the only guy ever to play one position in college and then coach an entirely different position.
No.
Like,
It happened. I brought
Kirby Smart.
Kirby Smart was a running back coach at Georgia in 05. He never played running back, but he was a running back coach. Like, these kind of things happen. It's not uncommon.
Sean Elliott played defensive line in college.
There you go.
He's coaching tight ends.
And people were loving him becoming the offensive line coach last year.
I got a problem with people going after Luke Doty because I feel like we heard it all last year from people too. Don't complain about people transferring out. Nobody has loyalty, the portal this, the portal that, and then give my guy Luke all this crap about being in the program for 10 years. Like, leave Luke alone, first of all. And second of all, people, we got to realize they didn't make Luke the defensive coordinator. This is an entry-level position. Like, you got to understand how there's 1,000 coaches on these rosters now, dude.
Yeah.
You know what Luke was doing when I looked over there and saw him? He was rolling a football. Sorry, Chris. He was rolling a football for a fumble drill.
He didn't know how to do that, though. He didn't play DB. He can't roll a ball.
I can't wait for the first DB to blow an assignment, and everybody's like, it's Luke Doty.
Get that 100%. That's why he got a quarterback out there coaching.
He is a defensive assistant, which means if Torian Gray or Clayton White tells Luke to go get coffee, he has to go get coffee.
It's
an entry-level position.
It's a grad assistant, essentially, right?
Yeah.
It's just the title's not grad assistant.
It's an entry-level position.
Yes.
So
you have to start somewhere.
Yes.
God, wait till the people hear about some of the coaches that didn't even play football.
I know.
It's
wow.
If anything, it actually might make sense to have a quarterback throwing to the DBs in some of those drills. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Having an actual quarterback spinning the ball out to them. So that whole thing, I don't know.
I continue to say Luke Doty's going to be the head coach here in 20 years, so prepare accordingly. This is the start of his coaching career.
He'll be well-rounded.
He'll be well-rounded.
Shane Beamer, long snapper. He's coached running backs, Spurs, cornerbacks.
What did Shane Beamer know about coaching tight ends, right? He never played the position. Like, come on, what are we doing here?
I think, man, I think some of those people on the Luke thing were like Clemson fans or whatever, but it was even some local people. Like
there's some Gamecocks.
There's some Gamecocks in there too. We need some good things to happen. People are latching on to.
Yeah,
I always defend Luke though, man. Like how can you be mad at Luke Doty? Like
he's like the nicest
all
guy
the dude
ever.
has ever done is just do what he was supposed to do. Like how can you possibly be mad at Luke freaking Doty?
Yeah, he played like 12 different positions while he was here.
He did
was
whatever
a
was asked.
wide receiver, punt returner, and we did it all with a smile on his face.
He did.
What a good dude.
Yeah,
that will be the head coach here in 2045. Calling it now.
Gamecock Central better break that news, Luke. That's all I'm saying.
All right, 2 hours in the book, one more to go. We'll get back into some of your memories of Lou Holtz coming up to start hour number 3 again live at Griffin Pools and Spas going up until noon here on the game.
Ticket guy.
Welcome back in hour number 3, Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, and Chris Clark hanging out here at Griffin Pools and Spas in Lexington, going up into noon. I got to check with our guy Josh because we have someone here that is asking about tickets and if they need to jump in the pool or not, because we did that last time, and that's where, again, I shared the story of the gentleman that jumped in his underwear. So we're not trying to do that again today, but we have done that in the past before. So what was that, Jeannie? You're checking with Josh. Okay, we will get back to you with Dreamy Josh if we have any tickets to give away, because we might have some stuff to give away for you. But we appreciate you coming out and hanging out here at Griffin Pools and Spas in Lexington. Of course, we've been talking all morning long about Lou Holtz passing away yesterday at the age of 89. Of course, a Gamecock head coach at the end of his coaching career, won a national championship with Notre Dame, was at Arkansas, William and Mary, spent some time in the NFL, was an assistant at South Carolina in the early stages of his career. And I wanted to get to some of these texts we've gotten coming in on the Firehouse Subs text line at 803-404-6100, because this nameless texter says, I think it was Paul Dietzel that told Coach Holtz that he needed a new profession and he wouldn't make it as a coach. That's when he was at William and Mary. Could be wrong, though. So apparently he was discouraged early on in his career, and thankfully he didn't take that advice.
Man, I've never heard that story. I wonder if that's Holtz, like, that kind of rubbed off on him a little bit with some of his, like, I'm going to be a little tough on you.
Yeah.
Tear you down a little bit, like
sure.
EK, like Emery was talking about.
And every coach in that, coming up in that era, was hard-nosed and, probably wasn't a lot of pats on the back at that point in time. So the tough love is what you needed. And from what Kimmery told us there and the stories that Preston shared on the air and stuff like that, that's the kind of coach that Coach Holtz was. Well, yeah, on Monday, there was absolutely no way you were going to be able to hang with these guys. And by Saturday, you know what? I think you got a shot.
Yeah, they were going to have to, put another digit on the scoreboard to hold what the other team was going to put up, all that stuff. Hilarious.
Let's see here. Nameless texter, when he was hired, they were not letting out contract information. Mike McGee told him apparently, hey, don't tell them how much they're paying you. And Holt said, I know, I'd be embarrassed too. I can't believe I'm doing this for that little money. And that was before coaches were, because what Spurrier made like $1 million on his first contract. Yeah. And that was a big deal then. So Holtz was obviously making less than that.
What that first contract was for Holtz? For Holtz? Yeah, I have no idea.
For a coach that had won a national championship, I imagine he probably would have had to been one of the highest paid at the time, right?
I would think so, but maybe. Hey, I'll say this: Mike McGee, that guy could drive a bargain. Apparently, like he knew how to go out and hire big name coaches. So that would be very interesting to find out what that is. I actually have. So our guy Reggie from WLTX is trying to find the old archival footage of the press conference when Lou was hired.
Okay.
We assumed that exists. He has not found it yet. So that would be kind of interesting to try. Apparently there was like 5,000 people there.
Yeah, we were talking about that on the 4,000 or 5,000.
It's one of those things where everybody
claims
to have been there.
Yeah, the number's going to grow.
The room held 30 people, but 400,000 were there for some reason.
Yeah. What did y'all give? Your Lou stories, like your favorite Lou stories yet earlier, or not really?
A little bit. What were you gonna say, Chris?
I did. Sorry, Wes. I did find some info on the Lou Holtz contract.
Okay.
This is out of Sports Business Journal.
This would have been 1998.
This says December 15th, 1998. Terms of Lou Holtz's new contract guarantees him at least $600,000 annually.
That's what Smiley's making as the special teams coordinator.
Yeah. But that was,
back then that was
big money.
I don't know how that compared to what, where would that have ranked in the SEC? Probably pretty high. We'd have to go back and do a study.
What Spurrier would have been making more, but he had to have been up there in the top 3 or so, I would think.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we've had people weighing in on Gamecock Central, like their favorite Lou memories. Lots of good stuff there. And it ranges from like just the games, like, hey, this moment, experiencing this game, this huge like sort of moment in Gamecock lore versus, like I said earlier, I met Lou at the airport. And apparently Lou was his brain was always on,
Very quick wit.
Like there was always, he would always have a comeback. He would always have a witty reply. And, just was absolutely one of a kind, which is, I feel like we all all the coaches try to sometimes act the same these days. Lou was Lou all the way, which is pretty awesome. Did either of you ever meet Lou Holtz?
No.
I met him one time, and this was before like I was doing anything in sports. Like, wasn't one of those things where I was used to like being around.
You were starstruck.
Steve Spurrier, but I wasn't starstruck. But it was one of those things where I was like, I'm about to go meet Lou.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not supposed to be here meeting Lou. This is my freshman year. I was at Carolina. Lou's last year was my first year at Carolina. So they are doing the band would always practice for the games on a field near Blatt. And I lived at Bates House. For those of you who were listening and went to Carolina, I live at Bates. So you would walk across this huge bridge from like the main part of campus to Bates House. And so I'm walking across. It was actually kind of cool. The band would be playing all the songs you hear them play on game day. You'd hear it out your window. So you're kind of getting ready for the game. So walking across, apparently I actually attended class this day. I'm going back and I'm hearing the band. And then I hear on the mic, Lou Holtz talking. And he was doing one of those things where he had come out to like see the band and thank them for putting in the, just rah-rah speech type thing. And this was leading up to the first game. And I'm like, I want to meet Lou Holtz. So I walked down the little scaffold, like stairwell thing, went down there. He was going up. He was shaking everybody's hands. And I just blended in with the band, went up there, met Lou Holtz, shook his hand. Man, I don't have a story other than that. But just that he was bigger than life. Like, it was like, all right, Lou Holtz is there. I'm going to go meet the guy. But so many awesome moments in terms of games.
Sure.
Then as well, like just huge wins for South Carolina.
Real quick, we have a listener that is about to jump in. What tickets are we giving away here, Jeannie? Sunday baseball tickets. What you can if you want to. What's your name? Jennifer is going to jump in for Gamecock baseball tickets.
Okay.
Now it's like we're not quite at 80 degrees, but it's gotten warmer. But you guys have tested the water.
I put my hand.
It's very cold. So I hope you're prepared.
She is.
You'll get used to it. She's not scared.
She's not worried whatsoever about.
She's very confident, ready to go. Why not?
Okay.
That's why we're here.
All right,
that's why we're here.
Yeah, the one behind you is deeper. It's got a deep end. You could dive in if you want it. Just a suggestion. You jump in whatever pool you want.
I think Jeannie's going to get something, and Jennifer will jump in here in just a second. But thank you for coming out. We appreciate you doing this. I don't think that's deep enough for a cannonball, personally. I think it's just kind of as easy in as you can get. Well, I think Jeannie's gonna.
Jeannie, give us a thumbs up when y'all are ready.
Give us the go ahead.
How deep is this pool?
That's got to be
6 feet.
6 feet. Okay.
All right.
It's deeper than I thought. Okay. All right. Anyways, we're talking about Lou Holtz as we wait for Jennifer to jump in there. And I mentioned this earlier because, of course, yesterday you had a ton of tributes, ESPN and all that, all of them putting out their respective videos. And one thing I found interesting, because, of course, we talk about Lou Holtz through the context of him being at Carolina and what he did for this program, but like that got glossed over a lot when I looked at some of the national honoring and remembrance of him. Talked about Notre Dame, talked about Arkansas, talked about William and Mary, but like the Carolina part really gets glossed over, and that's a shame because the turnaround that he had, taking this team from being 1-10, 0-11 his first year, to winning back-to-back New Year's Day bowls against Ohio State, is one of the more remarkable turnarounds we've seen in college football, and I hope that doesn't get lost in all the honoring of the other things that he did in his career.
Yeah, and guys, I mean, that was something we made a point to put in our story about, him passing away was, hey, he may be best known to the rest of the college football world for this, that, and the other, but he was best known to South Carolina fans for, the turnaround. At the time, I think it was actually statistically the best turnaround in major college football history, and just teaching South Carolina fans to believe, honestly, like he really changed the mindset. It was, hey, if Lou Holtz will come here, he famously said, hey, our goal is to win the national championship. And did they win a national title? No, but They also won 2 back-to-back Outback Bowls after a 21-game losing streak. Beat Tyler's Georgia Bulldogs a couple of times along the way. Beat Alabama in there. You had the fade with Kimry. Like there were so many awesome moments packed into that 2000-2001 season that were all built from the foundation of that 99 season when South Carolina went winless.
One of my games, and this is not as positive as a memory because it was against Tyler's Georgia Bulldogs and it was a loss. But Wes, do you remember? So it would have been our first year at Carolina, the 2004 Georgia game.
That was the Pollock game, right?
No.
Pollock would have been 2002.
Yeah. So
okay, 2002.
Although Pollock was on the team, I think for this game, wasn't he on the team?
That would have his senior
year. He was still out there. Carolina's up 16-0 at halftime. Lose 20-16. Painful game for Gamecock fans. But I remember Troy Williamson housed a slant pass. That was one of the best plays, maybe the best play I've ever seen in person. Co Simpson all the way across the field, picked off David Green for a pick six. It was an awesome game for the first half. So,
I think we got our jumper.
Are we ready?
We're ready? All right, Jennifer going to jump in for Gamecock Baseball Sunday tickets.
I hope they win this game, Jennifer.
I really hope they do, too, for what you're going through with this. All right.
She tested the water a second ago.
Did. She just stuck her foot in.
I don't know if I would have tested. I would have just
jump right in.
Go straight in.
She wanted to do a little acclimatization.
And we've got a Bill Gunner appearance as well.
Bill's going in too next. Jennifer, right?
Yeah, Jennifer. Are we good to go? We ready?
She's strategizing still.
Bill, welcome to the program.
I was right down the road going to get lunch on the way to the studio, and I happened to get in the car right as y'all were like, all right, we got someone's going to jump in the pool. I was like, I got to drive drive right by there. I was like, and I wanted to see the band member, this Wes Mitchell.
for one moment.
For one moment in time, yeah.
Yeah. Didn't play an instrument, but for one moment.
So he thought you were in the band?
I mean, he was just shaking hands of band members.
Did you stick your hand on somebody else's instrument just to?
No, I just walked down there. Got in line
for a second.
Got in line.
All right, we ready?
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
No stopping now.
All right.
I
heard y'all say this pool ain't really warm either.
It's not.
It's not.
According to them.
It's not very deep either.
All right, we're live.
We got a video of it.
Here we go. All right.
We're in.
Oh, well, that looked.
Yeah.
We heard a.
Yeah. If you.
All right. Well done. So she gets Gamecock baseball tickets on Sunday against Princeton. Like I said, I really hope they win this game for going through
goodness. That was all right. Well, I've seen what
I
got to go hold us down. So.
Yeah, I'll see you in about an hour.
I like the Lou Holtz discussion. We're going to have some of that today.
Oh, yeah.
When were you in college, Wes?
2004 to 08.
Yeah. Okay. So I was in, and I want to get into this. I put it on Twitter a little while ago. I was in 2000 when everything started. And kind of going back to when I really started following Carolina football was 99, my senior year in high school. Whew, that was a bad year.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're having a rough one now, but we'll talk about this because that's fun to go down that memory lane. What one of y'all were saying? 2000-2001 was a wild, fun era of South Carolina football. I think y'all mentioned it. 2 wins over Georgia, Alabama. So I'm excited. I hate that we're talking about it, but I'm excited to talk.
Yeah, we'll get into that on the halftime show, and again, I'll be back in the studio about an hour. But we'll talk more about Lou Holtz as the hour goes long, as well as get into what happened yesterday out at day 1 of spring practice as well. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on your Thursday on the Game.
Partners here on the game. It's our friends over at Integrated Media, integratedmediainc.com or 803-948-87. can call them or go to their website to get more information. They're your complete one-stop shop for any of your tech solutions out at your home, even at your business. They've helped us out at the studio with our Game TV streaming setup. They've been to my home and to Wes's home for a variety of projects, whether it's something as simple as just getting and mounting a new television for you. If you need to know the best brand in 2026, you don't have to go to the big box stores or scour all the options online. They can let you know what the best is, come out and professionally do it for you. But they also do so much more than that. Wireless speakers, helping you make sure your internet signal is as strong as possible, even advising you on your service provider to help save you money and get you the best service. Security cameras and smart home solutions. IntegratedMediaInc.com. Go check them out today.
College fun. This will be more fun. And y'all don't have to come to the studio tomorrow. You have to just scream along and have like 25 minutes.
It'll be actually for
Thank us for protecting the integrity of our home. Notre Dame Hubby's offers limited, so call today at 833-9099 or visit Rhino Shield Carolina.
Glad we had something to give away.
Don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
Okay.
Tough to tame. Try too rough to ride.
Didn't Josh ain't coming up? Not that I know of.
Rips up your tires and tears at your heart. Kiss your face.
There's no food here.
That's where stripes are well earned. The Goodyear 400. NASCAR's best based on Lady in Black. And this spring, how about that? Show me her mark. NASCAR weekend at Darlington Raceway. March 28th through 22nd. Get your ticket now.
Yeah, it was a traumatizing experience.
Part of history in downtown Columbia at one of the longest running and most prestigious route races in the Southeast.
I was waiting on the angry email from Tammy about that one. Thankfully, it didn't happen. Well, it at least had a logo.
Like the top 17-inch size for your automobile, $500 for a set of 4 out the door. Or the top 20-inch size for $780. Oh, no cap. You can even buy tires online at PopeDavisTire.com. Why is my line just 6'7"? I don't care. PopeDavisTire.com.
Are you a small business owner, a church, or if you have an HVAC system? AAA Heating and Air has exciting news for you. AAA Heating and Air now offers financing to qualified organizations to aid them in installing a new commercial HVAC system. It's as easy as 3-677-1500 for a quote or find them online at callAAAtoday.com. Tell her Jay Phillips the 1075 cents.
All right, welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler and Wes and Chris out here hanging out at Griffin Pools and Spas in Lexington as we've had Jennifer jump in and get Gamecock baseball tickets for Sunday's game as they take on Princeton. They win. I don't know of any other tickets we have to give away as of right now. Do we have more? We have some Saturday tickets. Okay, well, if you can come by in the next 40 minutes, get tickets for the doubleheader on Saturday. And
gotta jump in.
I will say, please bring appropriate clothing for this. as I've shared already, we had the situation where the gentleman jumped in his underwear
This
last
was last year, right? Yeah.
Yes, we were trying to avoid that happening again.
Yeah, we
So
are avoiding that happening.
we're avoiding that happening. So bring a swimwear or something you can change into where you don't have to get down to your TVs to jump in for.
I first of all, I'd like to say shout out again, Jennifer. She took that like a champ. Didn't even she didn't even blink. Good for her. Also, I'd like to let my wife know that I have now purchased a spa in there.
Okay.
That thing is nice, dude.
Oh,
I've just bought a platinum edition of something. So
just like that.
yeah,
That was during the break.
and it includes installation. Jeannie was asking about it. So
Okay. Wow.
Say,
got some options here, man.
The
They're
wife,
very nice.
the wife going to be cool about not having the conversation about that first?
Not the chance.
It's like, listen, when you sit in it, you'll be okay.
Yes.
Yeah, check this out.
It's a spa. It's relaxed.
There you go.
You should have just had it like somebody shows up. I've got your spot. What? Like, you shouldn't have even told her. And then you just go get in it.
She's probably not listening to us.
Well, then you just go, surprise. You know, I don't know when the birthday or anniversaries, whatever's closer, be like, hey, early present, right? The best presents are ones you don't expect.
That's right.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's right.
Surprise.
That's right. Again, we'll get into some more Lou Holtz memories coming up at the end of the hour. We've been talking about spring practice a little bit this morning. We had our fun with Jack's viral tweet from yesterday, and everybody being an O-line expert on some of the things that Coach Clem was doing with his unit there in those first couple of minutes that you guys got to see. But I think it really kind of shows how much pressure we're putting on the offensive line to Coach Clem to right the ship, right? And look, we're not expecting them to go out there and win the Joe Moore Award in year number one. That'd be great if they did, but if you can cut the sacks in half, if you can keep Lenore Sellers from being under duress as much as he was, really the past couple of years, he made up for it with his athleticism, 2 years ago and getting out of some trouble. Not quite as much at the same kind of clip a year ago, but if you can keep him, better protected, allow him to sit back there, do what he needs to do, then we'll consider that a win. But again, all eyes on the offensive line as the unit that needs to make the biggest jump from last year to this year.
Yeah, and I think so. Shane Beamer really has not shied away from the fact that, not that it's been like all bad, but that it has been at times an issue, like too often over the last 5 years. Like Beamer himself has said that, and so when you look at kind of the big picture, what are the things you go into this year saying if you clean this up, you can maybe kind of right some of the wrongs? And I think you look at this past season, and quite obviously, there's a lot of reasons. I think it goes well beyond the offensive line, but getting Lenore Sellers kind of back to where he was 2 seasons ago, and then even beyond that, and kind of letting him grow, has to be maybe the single big goal for this offseason going into the year. Now, how do you do that? I think a lot of that is going to be improving the O-line play. Frankly, putting him in a little bit better place to succeed, putting the O-line in a little bit better place to succeed with Kendall Bryo's offense. And, the crazy thing about that thing going viral is it was not like just Gamecock fans who even had the context of the O-line. You got former NFL guys weighing in. You got club football offensive line coaches weighing in. I mean, that, sometimes you can anticipate, like sometimes you'll see something like, well, that's going viral. That might be one of the most surprisingly viral things in Gamecock sports that I have ever come across. So, but here's the thing about when stuff goes viral. A lot of times people just repeat what they've seen and they get fake mad. You know what I'm saying?
Or they don't have the full context of what they're looking at. Again, that was 10 minutes into you guys being out there. So they're not going to be knocking each other's heads off if at all yesterday, considering what the practice was, but especially not right to start off with.
Well, and a lot of people just, even like you said, Wes, it wasn't just random people. I mean, even some former O-linemen, O-line coaches. What's the point of this drill? And Clem got on Twitter and said, here's the point. I mean, just here it is. You may not have ever seen it. You may not think it's worth anything, but he does. And he's a guy that has, say what you want, he's got a track record. I mean, he's produced guys. One of his assistants at South Carolina is Jason Smith, who played for him, was a first-round pick. And I'm sure Jason Smith's very talented, but clearly there was also some development there too. So, I mean, yeah, to go back to the O-line, just like big picture, like last when we sat down with Beamer, I keep referencing the conversation, but a lot of good stuff there. And that was, he talked about the fourth quarter a lot. how South Carolina was very poor in last year's fourth quarter, when in other big moments and big games, they've typically been pretty good, very competitive, or even really good under him. That was an area, but he also talked about protecting the quarterback too, right? It's one of the biggest things that they need to fix this season. So you've got, personnel, coaching, scheme. You've changed up all of those things, which frankly were needed. And I'd say this too. I mean, running the football, like in 2024, South Carolina's best team under Beamer ran the ball well. They were in top 25 rushing. Yes, part of that was Sellers. Part of it was having a guy named Rocket Sanders who was really, really good. Even in that year, though, they gave up too many sacks, too many negative plays. The other years, they've been towards the bottom of the conference or at the bottom running the football. And all those things, work hand in hand. So you got to run the football better. You got to protect better. And I think one of the most frustrating things, not only for Beamer, his staff, players, fans, is that you don't even – it's like you said earlier, Tyler, you don't have to go out and be – you'd love to be the most dominant team in all these categories. But you look back at the past several years and just go, even if you could just be average in some of those categories, average in terms of sacks allowed, average running the football, how much different would the results look? And you don't have to, like, squint to see how much different it could have been, certainly in 24, You just got to make, like, an incremental step next season.
Well, I think, guys, one of the probably disappointing parts too is there has been all this talk this past offseason. There's all this talk this offseason. Hey, you bring back Lenore Sellers, you bring back Dylan Stewart, Nick Harbor. When they were able to get the ball out to him, I'm not saying it was perfect, but Harbor took a step last year. We saw the flashes. We saw some of those deep balls hit. We saw the catch the ball short and take it to the house against Texas A&M. We saw some of the things that you were hoping to see from Nick Harbor. That 2 seasons ago, I think the defense was good this past season. 2 seasons ago, the defense was really, really good. So I think the frustrating part is the O-line a lot of time, or just let's just say pass protection, the run blocking in general. You kind of look at it and say, hey, man, a lot of these other pieces to be successful were in place. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'd be one thing if you were just like, well, that's one of many things that are wrong. Not to throw them under the bus, but like the baseball team right now, like there's like a lot of different things you're going, well, this has got to be fixed. That's got to be fixed. If you had to put the same team and you made the offense like the pass protection a little bit better these past 2 seasons, I mean, is Carolina in the college football playoff in 2024? Possibly so. And so I think that's probably some of the frustration. And it feels a little bit to me like special teams did before Beamer arrived and before Limbo arrived, where there's this sense of it doesn't matter who is coaching it, who the players are. There's just a feel of like it just has not been up to par for so long. This goes well before the current Shane Beamer era. This goes back a long. It's hard to find enough good offensive linemen to build a top of the SEC O-line. They had recruited on paper to the point that you thought maybe you were about to see that, and it just did not work out like that. So, I mean, I get the frustration with the fans, man.
Yeah, and it's going to be ongoing topic of conversation throughout this entire offseason. Players did speak yesterday. We'll get into a little bit of what Lenore Sellers had to say about this new relationship he has with Kendall Briles as we get set for the 2026 season as we continue on live from Griffin and Spas here in Lexington, going up until noon on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs here on the game. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West Chris live here at Griffin Pools and Spas, hanging out with you here on your Thursday on the game. Again, if you can get down here in about the next 25 minutes or so and are willing to jump into the pool, you can win some Gamecock baseball tickets for this upcoming weekend series as they get set to take on Princeton. We learned from Maneri last night, and Jack talked about it earlier, that Princeton does actually take academics seriously. They won't allow their student athletes to miss class, so that's why they're playing 2 games on Saturday as opposed to the traditional Friday through Sunday, because the classes and stuff do matter a lot to them. Apparently,
still students,
still student athletes. I don't imagine they're pulling down a lot in NIL at Princeton baseball, so those guys do have to focus on the academics a lot.
Are they allowed to do it now? Oh, it's why not?
I know the service academies aren't, but I think Ivy League can.
Okay, I think,
but I don't know how much they're playing with as far as money goes.
Vandy, man.
Vandy, well,
they're not in the Ivy
it's
League.
The Ivy League of the South.
They used to be,
there
was this perception.
The Ivy League of the South.
They're Vandy. They're spending. I don't know. Maybe sometimes there's some random schools we hear about. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But again, that coming up this weekend, doubleheader on Saturday, and game number 3 coming up on Sunday. We heard from some of the players yesterday, including Lenore Sellers. Dave, let's start off with cut number 1 here, as he talks about the message that Ken Browse gave him about how last season went.
I mean, it's just what he's always known. So he pretty much brought his own system. He did different stuff. He's at a different school with different personnel and all that. So it's a mixture of everything. He was more of just take last year, learn from it. Not really going to dwell on it. Just going to try to get better and move forward.
And he's right. It's a clean slate at the end of the day. And sure, there are some small similarities but that all offenses share. Absolutely. But this is a much different offense. It's more college friendly. We feel like it's more adapted to what Lenore Sellers' skill set is going to be. We've seen it be successful with guys like KJ Jefferson in the past that shared those same kind of physical traits that Lenore Sellers has. And yeah, last year was a learning experience. So the things that you did wrong or situations you got put in, learn from those. But that's in the past. We're going forward now, and you're getting to essentially kind of start over in a lot of ways with another offensive coordinator.
Yeah, guys, I think what we saw when Mike Fergus kind of running this show late last year is a little bit of a preview of some of the things we will see from Kendall Briles' offense. Now, I'll be most curious to see, this is another thing, to go back to that Beamer conversation. He really liked the flexibility that the team has to just evolve or mold to who the guys are. If you look at what he did at TCU, very different than what he did at Arkansas, which is very different than what he did at Florida State and FAU. And so I think if you look at what even what he did at TCU from one year to the next, there were some different tweaks and stuff there. So I think globally you can be like, all right, this is going to be a true spread offense, like a true college offense. If you kind of drill it down to what does the actual approach look like, maybe we see even further tweaks. The Arkansas stuff with the QB run game, one would think is a good place to start. Now, you can go back and find tape from when he was talking about his years there, and they didn't feel like they had wide receivers who could separate and win one-on-one. So they went a little bit more to a compressed offensive formations, putting guys in bunches, trying to do like the rub route, the mesh route, stuff like that to try and create separation. If you go further back in his tenure, you're getting more along the line like what Tennessee has done with Heupel the last few years, where it's like, we're going to spread you from sideline to sideline. We're going to create offenses in the spread are always about space, but we're going to take that to an extreme level and create more space than you possibly can. So I think we'll see probably a little bit of all that. I really think when you consider the aspect of Sellers in the run game himself and the possibility of putting somebody like Harbor way out wide just to kind of stretch the defense horizontally and vertically, I got to imagine Kendall Briles is going to be diving into what are some things I can do with these very specific skill sets to make this offense difficult to defend. And that was the toughest thing about South Carolina to defend last year. In the midst of all those struggles, we were talking about this yesterday, one of their most successful play concepts last year was a lower percentage concept, which is have Nick Harbor run a long way and throw deep ball to Nick Harbor, right? Lenore Sellers, really good deep ball thrower, elite deep ball thrower, effortless, great touch. Nick Harbor, I mean, we heard more than one coach last year after they played South Carolina be like, yeah, we're in 3 deep coverage, and he just ran past us. And that unlocks, even if you aren't actually throwing the ball, you can have a scheme on to try to account for it, and they've shown they can still beat you with it. So what do you have as an answer off of that? I think that's one of the things that Kendall Briles is going to be tasked with. And it's we can't predict it. I mean, you can try. We don't know for sure. But one of the things that he has done at all the stops he's been at is make a quick impact. You look at like when he got to FAU, they added 2 touchdowns at 14 points a game from what they did the year before to when Briles got there. Florida State, they were really bad on offense until Briles got there. He helped turn around their offense. They had a 1,000-yard rusher. Same deal at Arkansas, at Houston. They added points per game and a bunch more yards to kind of their average. And then Shane Beamer has pointed this out publicly. The year that I think it was the year they played South Carolina when Rocket Sanders was with the Razorbacks, they were one of just a few teams that rushed for, I think they averaged 250 on the ground and passing the ball. So they were extremely balanced. And I think you can go back and pick your year. He has catered. He's not one of those guys that just says we're going to cater the offense to what my players can do. KJ Jefferson is very different than Josh Hoover. He's coached a lot of different types of quarterbacks. He's coached in some offenses where they've had injury issues or quarterback situations that were less than ideal. I think what you see with him now that's exciting is not only just a new scheme, but he has a quarterback who is extremely talented and has shown some things on film in big moments in Lenore Sellers. And that can excite you as a Gamecock fan to think about what he could do.
One, going back to our conversation a little bit earlier about Randy Clements, where, we basically said the bar to clear for success on the offensive line isn't high. And, we'd love for you to be at the top of the SEC in all the categories that matter. But even just being average is a step in the right direction and probably could have been the difference between winning and losing a lot of games a season ago. And I think the same can be said about this offense, where, again, statistically, they were in the hundreds in most of those categories where, we'd love Kendall Briles to take this thing to the top in terms of, points per game and yards per game. But even if you're in that middle ground around average in a lot of categories, way better than last year. And if you had those numbers a season ago, you probably win a lot of those tight games that you couldn't figure out how to close. So kind of a similar thing where I'm not saying settle for mediocrity, but even if you're just kind of in the middle, that's still probably enough if your defense continues to play the way that they do to win you a lot more games.
Yeah, and like I said, you hope to not put a ceiling on it, but just these incremental improvements can go a long way. I do think, guys, with a brand new special teams coordinator and someone that has an NFL resume but hasn't come in with maybe as much buzz as like a Joe D or a Pete Limbo. That's one thing. South Carolina, in how they built this program, has always wanted to try to find those advantages in special teams. And they won a lot of games, especially early in Beamer's tenure, going out, making plays in special teams. You had that, Beamer has said, first half of last year. Maybe it fell off a little bit second half of last year. Can you always count on that going into this year or not to kind of find you those advantages? I don't know. Like I think you really are hoping that we're talking about Lenore Sellers getting back into that Heisman Trophy level conversation. Does that mean he's going, to the ceremony? I'm not saying it has to be that, but where people are watching this guy on every Saturday and saying, okay, that's the guy that we thought we were going to see last season. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that's the goal for this offense, because the college game is very QB oriented. If you can get Lenore Sellers back to that level or even above it, then you're going to have a chance every single Saturday to go win games, and this thing will flip very quickly from 4-8 to 8 wins, 9 wins. Can you get it to playoff level? I think it's another conversation. That's a huge step, but I think it can flip to winning season. I don't want to say it's simple. It's not, but
if Sellers is playing at a super high level.
I certainly hope so. Can't wait to see this offense in action coming up this fall. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the hour. Coming up next, live from Griffin Pools and Spas, it's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on the game. Forgot about that. All right, welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West and Chris wrapping up the hour here on your Thursday here on the game. We've been talking a lot about Lou Holtz. I can't go this whole show without throwing this last one in here. Dave, if you will play cut number 20 for me here.
You could cherry pick all you want, Mark. You've been on Ohio State. You've been against Ohio State as long as I've been on this show, which goes back a way. But I think Ohio State's a great football team. I mean that sincerely. They could play Alabama. They can play Florida State.
And they get one on the dot.
They would hold their own.
Alabama's a gold standard. You saw what happened in regular season when Michigan played Alabama in the neutral site. They got housed.
And Michigan's a good football team.
This year they were.
You take Alabama. I'll tell you what.
Alabama is the gold standard of college football today until somebody beats them. You look at who they play in conference. You look at they play the LSUs, they play the Texas A&M, they played this year, defeated those non-conference Virginia Tech. Tell me if Ohio State played the same schedule Alabama did, they wouldn't have at least 2 losses.
I would say that. I would not guarantee that. They've won 21 in a row. They're against the football team. And I want to tell you, Alabama.
Just a small little snippet of after his coaching career was done. The legendary television that Lou Holtz gave us for years on College Football Final, arguing with Mark May every single Saturday.
If you're in an era where you weren't watching ball back then, I don't know if you can completely appreciate the Reese Davis and the judge.
The final verdict.
That whole segment, man. a little bit out there, but was just perfect for that era. I feel like.
We're wrapping things up here at Griffin Pools and Spas. We got Travis from Griffin Pools and Spas hanging out with us here for the last couple minutes. Travis, first of all, appreciate you having us out here, and we'll get the mic flipped around for you there. There you go, flip it around on your head. I gotta make sure we can hear you there. There you go. All right, Travis, again, thank you so much for having us out here, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Always a good time when y'all come out.
Did you see the person that jumped in the pool a little bit earlier?
Yeah, I caught them. Everybody seems to enjoy jumping in the pool for whatever reason.
I was going to say,
like 60-degree weather.
Water. They stuck their hands in and they said it was pretty cold. So
I think you get used
to it. She was unbothered.
Yeah, she just unbothered.
She must have really wanted to go to the game Sunday.
Yeah. So as the weather starts to heat up like it's been doing the past couple of days, I imagine this is the time of year when people are really getting into looking into pools or starting to service their pools, getting ready for the warmer months coming up.
Absolutely, yep. Now's a great time to look at buying pools, purchasing a pool. You can get it in before spring, and have everything done in your yard back in order before time to use it. So, great time to buy.
Yeah, what is, if I come in, I'm like, hey, I'm buying a pool today, what is the lead-in time to, in general, on average, to where, hey, it's like in my yard now and I'm swimming?
Yeah, probably right now, it's probably 2 weeks to start, 4-week process, so 6-7 weeks.
Pretty quick. I mean, you can have that done by the summertime.
Oh yeah,
ready to go.
Yep, yard back in order.
Yeah, that's outstanding. All right, so if you got somebody that comes in, like how do you go about like figuring out the whole process to piggyback off Wes, like the process, like how do you figure out size, like lining, like what are the questions that are asked?
Yeah, so we have 2 salespeople. So when you come in or have a lead, and we'll give it to our salesperson, they'll come out and look at your yard, make recommendations, see access. Getting in and out of your yard, and price out your pool for you.
What is your most popular pool that you guys typically sell? So we had a couple different ones here. Got the smaller one, I believe 6 foot. I think we got a deep one here behind us. Well, what do people typically like to go for?
Yeah, it all depends on the yard and what they're trying to do, entertain or just something to sit by and lounge around. But we do have fiberglass pools, we have vinyl liner pools, and we have above ground pools. So we got something that'll suit anybody and everybody.
I was talking about earlier. So one of the offices is pretty tricked out with some Gamecock stuff in there.
Yeah, that might be mine.
I would say, I'm assuming you see your Gamecock lanyard sticking out of your pocket there. I'm assuming you're a Gamecock fan yourself. And look, we've been talking about Lou Holtz all morning long with his passing yesterday. Your memories of Lou Holtz and his time here at South Carolina.
Yeah, the one that really stands out is, I guess, when he took over, we had just won one game the year before. And like everybody says, it can't get any worse. And it got worse.
Yeah, never say that.
But then it turns around, like you said, and then you get the 2 back-to-back Outback Bowls wins. So that always stands out.
For sure. I feel like Lou had a way of just making everybody kind of believe in the program. And we had Kimry on earlier, and he was talking about even through that winless year, for whatever reason, the guys kind of bought in. And I feel like I was pretty young back then. I feel like there was the start of some belief, even, believe it or not, a year with they're not winning any games.
That's right. Yeah. And I think with Luke coming in, it's kind of set up for the torch being passed over to Spurrier.
Yeah.
I don't know if Spurrier comes without Lou Holtz being here prior to.
Probably not. I mean, he quite literally laid the foundation for the success that would come a couple years later. And I mean, there's no telling where this entire program would be if he had not come at the end of the 90s there and showed that, hey, you can actually win here.
So out of your, are you more football? Are you kind of even among all the sports? Are you more football? Or are you like, hey, I'm a baseball guy? Like,
it's probably more football. We have a tailgating crowd that's there every week.
Yeah.
And we make an away trip every year. So
yeah.
What, you got anything lined up for this year yet?
Tentatively Oklahoma, and
that's a good one.
4 Winds Casinos right close by. So
Chris made the trip to Oklahoma when they went 2
Yes,
years ago.
2024.
That was a good trip.
It's a great
Started
trip.
off great.
I've got Arkansas on the docket this year.
Yeah.
If you've never been, have you ever been there? Yeah, that's a great trip. Highly recommend.
Yeah,
So
we
thanks
tried
a
to
lot,
make
man.
all the stadiums. So
Now, when you guys are tailgating, is there like an inflatable pool at the tailgate?
yeah, we got a portable
bring the
spot that
vibe?
we carry on the back of the truck. So yeah,
That would be perfect. I'm looking at the logo on your shirt. There's been talk about putting logos on the jerseys. So
Yeah, I know, right?
Griffin Pools and Spas on
That's
the garnet and black there might look pretty
There
good.
you go. There you go. That might not be a bad
Hey,
idea.
who came up with the Griffin Pools and Spas? Like, was that? I'm guessing
Yeah,
y'all
that
hire
was-
an agency to do that, or
well, it was an agency, but the owner Stan Griffin, who passed away 2 years ago, but 3 years ago, come September, got it from a James Brown song, I guess. We make
Really?
you feel good, or I feel good, or whatever it is.
Well, it's catchy, so everybody
Oh, yeah.
sticks.
Oh,
That's
man.
where
Yeah.
advertising works. It's something you can remember saying off the top of your head, and that's one of the.
If you walk in a store and somebody sees your shirt, they start singing.
Yeah, I was humming it driving over here.
Yeah.
All the time.
Sticks.
Well, it absolutely works. And Travis, thank you so much for once again having us out. We could have asked for a better day.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
perfect
Great
out
weekend
here,
on
and,
tap, so it should be a good day.
Sun's been out for a while. Got these pools out here, and man, we always appreciate you allowing us to be out here.
Well, we appreciate y'all coming.
Again, we've been live at Griffin Pools and Spas all morning long. This has been the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs. Halftime show coming up next here on your Thursday on the Game.